Hey there, and thank you for joining me on this premiere episode of That Tribute Band Show. I am your host, Eddie Payne, and this is the show where we sit down once a week and have a chat with a tribute band. We're going to go across the country, find all the tribute bands that we possibly can, and bring them to you. This is also going to be a helpful tool for venues and also just random people that just wanting to know what kind of tribute bands are out there. And believe me, there are a ton out there. Joining me this week for the premiere episode of That Tribute Band Show is the Iron Maiden tribute, Eyes of the Nile.
How's it going? Welcome to the show.
Cheers.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
show.
Thanks for being
Congrats.
my guinea pig.
Yeah, no problem.
This is going to be a fun show. So from top left down to the bottom here, let's start with your names and what instrument do you play?
Top left.
That would be you.
On his screen.
Okay, because it's different.
Okay.
Right,
okay.
On your screen.
It's you. It's you, Chris.
Yeah. I am Chris. I play the drums and sing background vocals.
I am Jason. I play guitar and I scream vocals, but I don't necessarily sing them. Sometimes I do, but not all the time.
Hey, I'm Fern, bassist, backing vocals.
Awesome. And you guys are from the Washington D.C. area, correct?
Yes.
And I guess
Virginia, D.C.
Okay, so the Delmarva area. And for those of you who don't know, Delmarva is lingo for Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
First time I heard that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's the first time you've heard Delmarva?
Yep.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Does it help that I'm not from here, but I've only lived here for 21 years and never heard that?
Where are you originally from?
Boston.
Boston?
Yeah.
Cool. How long have you guys been doing this together?
Oh my God. 7 years? 7, 8 years? Something like that?
8 years. I think it's 2015.
So Eyes of the Nile has been together that long?
Yeah.
I joined.
Feels like we kind of just started the last couple of years when Fern joined. Kind of not. I mean,
What
joking.
What are some of your influences besides Iron Maiden, obviously?
I was going to say, well, not Iron
Nothing.
Maiden.
There's no other influences. That's actually all we listen to.
Gosh, I don't know. We're all big metalheads and just music fans in general. I mean, every time we get together, when we're not talking about housekeeping and shows and creating set lists and blah blah blah, we're always talking about metal. And whenever we're riding together, we're listening to metal. So I mean, it's for me personally, like I grew up with Metallica and like classic rock and Merciful Fate, and so that's kind of my influences. And there's too many to list, but for me as a guitar player, I would say Metallica was a big influence. Other than Iron Maiden, Iron Maiden was also a great big influence, but Metallica I'd probably say is sort of like the foundation.
Right on. Yeah, I actually grew up on Metallica. First album Metallica I heard was And Justice for All.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome
and
album.
Still my favorite album to this day. I mean, nothing compares to that album. It's just balls to the wall. Like what is it? Like 90 minutes worth of just pure metal.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So do you guys tour like up and down the East Coast, or have you branched out west, or like where all do you travel to normally?
It's been mostly this area. I mean, we're doing a lot of Pennsylvania. We've done Pennsylvania shows before, but we're doing a whole bunch more this year. We've got about 4 lined up right now, probably more. We've done some New Jersey dates. We've done New York. I think we did New York. We're trying to get back there. New York State later this year. And we're working on some stuff for Florida and branching out for sure next year.
So you guys are pretty busy then. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not as busy as we want to be, but getting better venues for sure. So trying to keep it pretty consistent with the kind of venues that we play at.
Right, and you try to get like the bigger venues, like say 400 capacity and above.
Yeah, like small theaters or big theaters, but big clubs.
Right.
I think our show lends itself to having, a bigger production, since we have a lot of, scenery kind of things, and we
Right.
have video if there's video capability at the venue. Um, but it definitely adds something, especially for moving around the stage. I mean, there's a lot of energy, and Navid has a lot of energy and likes to run around. So it just helps on a bigger stage.
Yeah, yeah, I hear that. Have you ever met anyone from the band or had any feedback, good or bad, um, on your tribute from the band?
I have. I don't
Really?
know if the other guys have.
I've never met any of the guys in Maiden at all.
Yeah, no.
Hopefully someday, but not yet.
Yeah, that'd be amazing if we did.
I met Bruce when he was on his Tattooed Millionaire solo tour. He came to a small dive in Rhode Island, and we went stupid early. He was just getting finished with sound check, and I was like in the foyer of the club, and he came walking by, and I was just like, "Hey, how's it going?" I think I actually muttered the words, "You don't know me, but I'm Chris." I don't. It's ridiculous. But my friend got a picture of him signing something. I think it was my denim jacket I was wearing or something. So that was Bruce, and he was cool. He was just very laid back. We didn't really have a conversation. It was just, "Hey, how's it going? You don't know me." And then I met Nico on the No Prayer for the Dying tour
Oh, cool.
backstage. Yeah, really quick. There was a friend of mine worked for a local magazine, and he got me a lanyard to go backstage, and there was a whole like meet and greet thing going on. I just remember Nico being surrounded by a whole bunch of fans, and I worked my way into the middle, and I think I asked him about like what the hell he was playing at the beginning of Tail Gunner, because I had to ask him a drum question. And he signed my denim jacket. So
That's pretty
that
cool. So you were
that was
probably,
it.
your experience with him was maybe 5 minutes.
If that,
Yeah.
and there was a lot of people around me. So
Usually, sometimes bands will limit the amount of VIP backstage passes that they divvy out, and it must have been a crazy chaotic scene.
yeah, it wasn't like he was sitting at a table or anything, and you like had your time with him, and then you walked, to the next person. It was just a big room. He was standing there. There's a bunch of people around him, and that's all I really remember.
Right.
So it was kind of like a free for all.
Um, so how well received are you guys from the venues and all the Iron Maiden fans out there?
They hate us. Terrible. Um. Well, how do we
It's hard
put
to answer that without sounding like you're
I
passionate.
know. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because let's be honest. It's maybe I'll offer this answer and we'll see if it what you guys think. It's humbling to have had the type of feedback we've received so far because people have been very kind about what they've seen, what they heard, what they felt coming away from a show, and how we are seeing some of those faces come back to different shows and hearing word of people traveling a distance to come to the show. And we hope that that means that they are feeling what we want them to feel, which is we're not some separate set of musicians on the stage from the people on the ground. We are fans just like they are.
Right.
And we are wanting to be there with them because it's a shared fan experience. And we like hanging with them. And all we're doing is having a conversation about one of our favorite bands ever, and that's Iron Maiden. And that conversation isn't just talking about what they do as a show, but offering what we think would be a cool version of that show while putting ourselves into it. And we're just that part of the conversation, and everybody else makes up the rest of the conversation. We're just glad
Yeah.
everybody's there. So kind of a roundabout way of saying how well we're received. I'm kind of flipping the question around to say this is our perception of how we receive it, and how appreciative and humbled we are by how kind people have been so far. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Each Jason?
Yeah, nailed it. I mean, that's really,
Yeah.
I mean, like we're just like big fans of the band, and we're just trying to like give people, as a fan of the band, we're just kind of putting out there what we would want to see as a fan of a band. See, like if we went to go see an Iron Maiden tribute band, I would like, we're doing what we would want to see in the show, and the responses that we're getting back from people are, they love it. So like, and that makes us feel good because we're doing what we were trying to set out for, was, music first and then theatrics like on top of that. So like, it's, the formula is working. So
Right.
It's definitely encouraging, and I don't know, validates the work that you put in when people
yeah,
say nice things, you know? So yeah, it definitely is nice to hear those things.
yeah, for sure.
Not lost on us. And I'll say one
Yeah.
last thing too, not to go down a rabbit hole, but the type of feedback, not just you guys are great, but for the first time in any band that I've been in, I'm seeing things that where they are incorporating us and what we're doing as a tribute band into their lives somehow in some small humble way, and that speaks volumes to the kind of reception that we're getting. And again, it's really humbling and not at all lost on us, so we're just
Yeah.
super appreciative.
Awesome. So have you ever sold out a venue before?
I don't
Not
know.
alone. No.
Like, I mean, if you were on another bill with like a couple other tribute bands, would you have sold out, or do you think together would you have sold out?
Not yet. It hasn't happened.
Got close, I think, at one point.
We opened up for Four Horsemen. That was sold out at
And
Tally Ho.
Awesome.
I think that also speaks to where Deech was talking about getting more venues throughout this year. I feel like I'm curious to answer that question or be asked that question in about a year or 2 years, because Deech was joking when he said the band started when I joined, because the prior bassist was an amazing player. I just think that the band was in a different spot then, and there was a certain something just clicked in terms of where we were with getting venues. It just happened to be that 20
Yeah.
was the start of getting different types of venues. Like Tally Ho was our first venue there, or our first gig there, was a spark into, oh,
Yeah.
this band could be on that type of stage and it works. And I think from there was a bit of a rebirth. So in terms of, can we sell out a venue, I think in about a year or two, I'd be curious to see where we are with that, because we are starting to now, it's still very early in this sort of like venue circuit, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What do you think the biggest crowd is that you've played to?
It was like 40,000 at the no.
Was it Tally Ho with Four
Chicago.
Horsemen probably?
That was, yeah, that's like caps at
four-
like 600 people.
Yeah, it was a packed house.
That's a decent crowd.
Yeah, it
Definitely.
was pretty awesome.
And a very lively crowd, which was
Yeah.
Changing gears here, there seems to be a lot of tribute bands, and it goes worldwide. There's a lot in the U.S. alone, and there seems to be a lot of competition when it comes to bookings. I know some venues will not book 2 tributes. I've actually had this issue before because I'm in a tribute band. I've been several actually. And there are some tributes that will not book us, or some venues that won't book us because they are already not exclusively working with other tributes. And it's
Right.
pretty frustrating. Do you guys deal with that too?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
It kind of like, for me, it kind of like brings the morale down a little bit. It's like, oh, am I doing the right tribute band? Do I need to find another tribute? Or
No,
Maybe something that's less competitive, or do I keep going and try to strive for that position? Because a lot of these bands, they've been doing this for, probably way longer than we have. So it's kind of hard to get to that point when they're still doing the game. You know what I'm saying?
Deech, you answer it first, but I definitely have something I'd want to respond with.
that's a tough question to answer. Um, I think that, hmm, yeah, if another let's put it this way, if another Iron Maiden tribute band tried to play a Tally Ho, um, they would probably have a hard time, I would guess, because we play there twice a year. We've been doing that for the past, I don't know, 3 years or so now. So I would think that it would be very difficult for another tribute to try to play there. From, doing all the booking and talking to the agents and all that stuff. So I can understand that when another Maiden tribute that lives in, Pennsylvania or New Jersey plays at places that we want to play, it's really not the end of the world. It's just a bar that or club that we want to play, and if they have loyalty to this band that lives down the street, then it makes sense. You can't think of it as, are we good enough, or should I pack it in, or I mean, how many other venues are there to play?
Right.
So if hopefully all you can really do is be the best tribute that you can be, and hopefully that one day that venue thinks, hey, I don't know why we were having this other band play, but we need to get these guys, whatever tribute that is. I mean, whoever it is. Um, so yeah, I mean, hopefully they'll be exposed to what you do, whether it's a video or they happen to see you play, and maybe that'll change their mind or something. You never
Right.
know.
Yeah, and just to dovetail off of that, because Deech covered much more eloquently what I would have said.
Really?
Yes, it was almost 1-to-1 in terms of the points I wanted to hit, because it's also about timing, right? So if a venue is already has an ACDC tribute or already has a Maiden tribute that they're used to working with, regardless of caliber, and I'm going to assume that they're a great band, right? They just know the guys, they're home, they have a home field advantage, whatever the case may be. I would not let that discourage you because timing is everything. And if you persist and if you continue to hone the craft that you love, in your case, putting together an ACDC tribute, a real vibe. In our case, an Iron Maiden tribute, an Iron Maiden vibe. Timing might have it, someday where that venue that's used to having any other Maiden tribute, hey, we had a cancellation, or hey, there's a large enough gap. And it's not so much that they're exclusive to them per se, like contractually. It's just who they're used to working with, and it's that presence of mind. Maiden tribute. Oh, we just had Maiden tribute, so they're not thinking anything personal against your band. They're thinking in terms of the vibe that you're bringing, which is either ACDC or Iron Maiden. So as long as you believe in it and you like it, like Deech said, there's plenty of venues to play. And even for the target venues that you may have not had a chance to play, mm, dollars to donuts, you persist and there'll be an opportunity at some point. So I definitely would encourage you continue to fly the flag.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When it comes to like your production and your stage props, what all is involved in that as far as like transport, and also like, did you construct the items yourselves, or did you have the stuff made, or like what all do you have for your production? Because I
We
know
can't tell you.
Iron Maiden is just huge when it comes to stage production.
Yeah, that's G14 classified.
Yes.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
oh, well, the scenery, like the hieroglyphics, all that stuff, was made by a friend of mine's company. We chose the images that we wanted, and then we had them made into those like 3D scenery pieces. Uh, there's the Anubis, the dog gods
Yeah,
things. Uh,
yeah, we made that. We made those like
yeah,
just made them bought some crap off of Amazon and slapped them together, and
Bought a lot of random shit from
yeah,
online and like, oh, I need, yeah, it was fun to put together.
yeah,
So
those are fun.
those things were in my house for a couple months. Like, what the hell is going on in here?
Oh, and then
Um,
the big banner behind us, the big blue Egyptian thing. That's also the same company that did the scrims, the hieroglyphics.
yeah. And then there's video when we can. There's the whole video thing. So that kind of tries to tie into each song as well. If we can get someone to actually work video, it'll go with the whole set list.
Yeah,
And
cool.
there'll be like an intro and the whole thing. So more of a production.
My tribute is actually working in that direction as well. It's like you going back to what you were saying about bigger venues and the ones that can accommodate that kind of thing. And a lot of places don't
Yeah,
even have projectors or backdrops or anything like that. You pretty much have to bring your own, and that can be a difficult task at times.
Well, it's video or banner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
and
have to have either. Always have the banner just in case.
I'd have the backup, and I'm the transportation for the gear. I
Yeah.
happily assume the role of beast of burden.
Yeah.
So,
Thank God.
well, I really don't mind. I don't mind at all.
So, do you have a designated character for Eddie?
No, I mean, there's some
Freddie.
you now. There's depending on the venue, there's somewhere we can almost guarantee that there's going to be somebody that has done it before that lives close by. So probably should make a spreadsheet for that now too.
Oh,
Yeah,
right on.
right.
That's cool.
My
The
wife does
Eddie,
it every once in a while too, which is pretty funny.
So, is it
yeah,
someone that you know, or just some random person that you
it
may have come
mostly people
across?
that we know, but it has been a random person, which is usually a mistake.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
but we've learned that they have to. I mean, it's nice to get anybody, and like it's better than nobody, but
Yeah,
then it's like, well, we've kind of learned the hard way too because it could end up looking stupid.
and it adds a
Um,
little chaos to the show.
that's a little like they just look like they're a drunk monster roaming the stage, or they're short and maybe not in shape. It doesn't look like Eddie anymore. It just looks like I don't know, bad Halloween party.
all right. All right. Now, this next question is probably going to be
Offensive.
a great topic of conversation. What does it take to make a great tribute band, in your honest opinion?
I think I would say it depends on what your goals are. For us, we chose that we wanted the music to come before anything else. And that's just like our prerogative. Like that's what we wanted to do. But there's some bands like Deech's other band, hair metal, like I'm sure the music was very, very important with that, but like their image is like really what sets them apart, I guess. Like they have like a bunch of costumes and big wigs and neon tights and stuff like that, where we don't really go for that too much. We just kind of throw on like a denim jacket with some patches on it or whatever, and just kind of look like metal dudes, and then just play Iron Maiden on stage. And so yeah, I mean, I guess for the way that I see it, it's like it just depends on what you're going for.
Yeah, I mean, I think for I mean, to bring it to an even broader sort of spectrum, what makes a great tribute band? I would offer that question applies to anything you're trying to do. With a team, right? You have a vision, and then you have the people in there invested in that same vision, and they have the same, you know, I guess, idea of what you're all going for. You all understand each other's role. You all understand each other as people. Ideally, you get along and you want to be in the same room with them. And thankfully, we're in a situation where we all just love to hang together. So that. I feel like that is bar none the hardest thing, to be with people that you really truly enjoy being around and talking to. So there's no
Yeah.
awkwardness or dead air. If somebody walks into the room, the conversation's killed. It's never like that. So having zero toxicity, I think, is priority one, and hopefully that's not an effort that just happens organically. But then again, it goes back to the vision. What do you all see for the band? And assuming you have those other first two things nailed down, with the vision and how well you get along, I think everything else organically falls into play. You can agree on a lot of things, and even when you disagree, you have that camaraderie and you have that vision to keep you all glued together, and your eyes are always on the prize.
You have to respect if people don't, agree with you on something or they have a
Yeah.
different opinion. I mean,
Yes.
you're not going to agree on everything in any relationship or any band. But a lot of the things that Fern was talking about, you don't necessarily know for a while, like how you're going to actually get along with somebody. You just like the first thing is, can they play the stuff? I mean, that's the obvious thing, but
Yeah.
that's why you audition people. Like you have to know if they can actually play it, and you know, is it easy for them? Is it a massive struggle for them? Um, and then you just go from there and hope for the best and hope you actually get along outside of playing and
Mhm.
hope that they come prepared to rehearsal and that they don't, you know, and that they bring it on stage as well, because there's a lot of factors that go into it with
Yeah.
each member of the band.
Very much so.
And you can't really have a week like,
And if you have a solid work ethic, so the way I approach it and the way I tell my friends, I always tell my friends, I'm so happy to be the weakest link in the band because I know my work ethic. And I say that I'm the weakest link, not to be self-deprecating by any means, but because I just have such a profound respect for the rest of the band as players and as people that it's like, oh, I feel like I'm proud to know that I'm doing the best I can to bring my A game every time, be it practice or a gig or whatever it is I do for the band. And I feel like every musician should be as lucky as I am to walk into a situation where they feel compelled to bring that because of how they feel when they walk into a room with their fellow musicians.
I feel the same way. I mean,
Same.
I feel that I have a responsibility, and whether you're the new guy, I'm the old guy, or whatever. I mean, that's my responsibility
Yeah.
to anything that I do. But this is a lot of freaking work, and I know what I have to do to play well. So that's just another responsibility. Work ethic.
Yeah, and then from micro to macro, right? Once the individuals are strong enough and the unit is strong enough, then it's carrying that responsibility uh, to when we bring it to a venue, because any artist has a responsibility to, as entertainers, to bring the best show they can, because people are investing their time and their money in you, again, I think going back to how we're being received, I think it shows the camaraderie that we have. It really shows, and the effort that we put into it, it's been showing, I think, and that's what people are receiving.
So do you guys stick to like the same instruments that the band uses, or do you just pretty much play whatever is comfortable for you?
I stay on the drums. Jason stays on guitar.
Yeah, is that the question? Like, do we like switch instruments? Is that what you're asking?
No, I think the specific, like,
I'm the only one, I think, in the band that has a Steve Harris signature. I have two Steve Harris signature basses, and in my rig incorporated, I have the Steve Harris Tech 21 SH1 pedal board that mimics the sound of his speakers.
Oh, I understand.
So
You're talking about like the amp models or the got it. Yeah.
Eddie, is that right? Is that what you were referring to?
That's correct. Yes. Do you play the exact same instruments that they do, or do you just play whatever's comfortable?
So I think that I would prefer to play what's comfortable, but I really feel like to get as close as I can to the sound for me,
Yeah.
especially since for me it's a very different and new way of playing bass. I don't naturally play like Steve at all. I have to relearn it. So part of that meeting it part way is not only getting the signature basses, but putting the same strings he has and setting it up the way he does. And trying to follow everything through he has a very simple effects chain. He barely has any effects at all. It's basically just compression and EQ, and and I incorporate a noise gate just to be careful. Um, but to that end, I think because I have to come in and relearn how to play, I wanted to help myself by getting close to his chain. Otherwise, I would have just used my one of my other bases, just like the rest of the guys. So, and you know, I'm curious to hear what you guys think of that, but that was my approach to it.
In
Jason?
terms of like instruments, so like I don't have, well, first of all, I play weird. So like I play like normally people play like this, but I play the other way, and it's difficult for me. And I play left-handed with the strings flipped upside down. So all the guitars that I usually play are like custom made in some way. They're custom made, or I had to modify the hell out of them to make them work. So I don't really. It's hard. I can't buy an Adrian Smith guitar really, or else I would have to like totally modify the hell out of it. So I got a guitar from this company called Kiesel. They make awesome custom guitars. And I got a white one with a black pickguard on it, kind of like Adrian Smith. Um, and then I use an XFX, which is like a digital amp modeler thing. And I did do a lot of research on like what amps that Adrian used and like modeled it on the XFX. And he used like a Marshall JMP1 like preamp thing. And then I have like a cabinet simulate like a guitar cabinet, Marshall cabinet that I use on stage, but also my sound runs direct to the front of house straight from my Axe effects, and that is also a Marshall cabinet. So I did do like a lot of research on it. I don't use like the exact equipment that he has, but like I definitely tried to get as close as possible with what I am able to play and what I can afford also. Because I'm sure all Adrian's stuff is like hyper expensive because it's all like vintage '80s stuff now. So
It's more
um,
about the sound, I think, than the instrument, right?
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
I
what
spent
people
like
hear, the sound is the tones are the most important thing.
Yeah, I spent like a ridiculous amount of time just like listening to Live After Death and trying to get that like that staticky like distortion sound that he's got on some of the songs and like what kind of phaser is he using. And yeah, so I spent a lot of time like doing some research, but I don't like use his exact equipment or anything.
It's tough too because when we play live, some of that sound is colored, be it slightly or heavily, by the front of house anyway. So
Right.
it's going through the filter of the venue.
Yeah.
So we do what we can on our end, and for what it's worth, the venues we played at, they translate it so well. But
Yeah.
it's just the nature of audio and acoustics and electronics that
Yeah.
you do what you can at the source, and then what meets the crowd's ear. There may be a number of other variables involved with that, right?
And a lot of people have said that, it sounds like Maiden, and the guitar sound is a big
Yeah.
part of that, and the
So
bass sound, obviously, yeah.
yeah, so job done there, I guess.
Yes.
Absolutely. So, which Iron Maiden song is your favorite to play when you guys perform?
Oh man. I'm gonna immediately say I love playing Caught Somewhere in Time. I love that song. Solo's fun, the rhythm guitar parts are fun.
It's an explosive song.
It's just a badass song.
It moves so well.
Bunch of drippy, gooey, like chorus and delay. It's just fun to play.
I think I'd have an easier time saying which songs I don't like to play. But I'm not going to answer that question. Deech, what say you?
Oh, man. I don't know. I always say I enjoy playing the Clive stuff more than the Nico stuff. I mean, if I'm gonna have to throw a song out there, I love playing The Prisoner. Um, Lots of different parts. Solo section. Of course, the drum intro is cool. Kind of puts you on the spot a little bit. I get to sing backup harmonies.
Yeah.
But then there's something like, I don't know, Moonchild, where it's just like,
Yeah.
thrashing for the whole freaking song and you don't have to think too much. I mean, you kind of, and that's the thing about Nico is it's so much more improvisatory that you can get a little hung up if you just, because you're making a lot of the stuff up. Like you're just making up fills. And the Clive stuff doesn't have that as much, if at all. So it's always very consistent every time. At least I play it. I try to play exactly what he plays. So Prisoner and Prowler, I love. So fun. But
I actually came into the Iron Maiden scene a little bit late, and of course, I used to work at the radio station here in town back in the early 2000s, and I was introduced to more of their stuff then. But I'm pretty big on like the singles, like the songs that everybody knows. You know, like "Run to the Hills,"
Trooper.
"Trooper."
Yeah.
Do those songs get more uh, applause than the deeper cuts, or is it all about the same?
It's a balance, and that is a nonstop conversation in the band when it comes to building set lists for bands.
Yes.
My humble observation is that obviously the hits are going to get a more widespread reach in terms of applause, because the casual Maiden listener knows Aces High, 2 Minutes to Midnight, Run to the Hills, Hallowed Be Thy Name, right? There's those big ones that everybody knows.
Right.
However, when we start hitting other songs like Deja Vu, Still Life, and things that are off the beaten path that maybe Maiden hasn't played in a while, then you get that spike in, deep cut appreciation from the crowd. And they're like, yeah, and that kind of stuff trickle out.
That look of surprise that we've gotten is pretty fun to watch.
Absolutely.
Cool. If you have any, besides yourself, obviously, what other tribute bands are you a fan of or into?
Four Horsemen, Obey Your Master.
Yeah.
I like the Iron Maidens. They're a lot of fun.
I don't know, actually.
I haven't seen too many. Her metal.
I would call that. Yeah, I don't even know what that is, because that's different songs from different bands. So
for those
I don't know, but the Four Horsemen were like ridiculous.
Four Horsemen are amazing. I just saw a video of a band called Voyage. They're a Journey tribute.
Mm-hmm.
The singer is ridiculous.
Have you ever played with any national bands, big time bands?
We're about to.
We're about to.
Yeah, July 14th. Quiet Riot.
I saw that. It's going to be an awesome show.
Yeah, it's going to be sweet.
And we, July 14th, if you're out there listening, and it's in Cumberland, Maryland, the Rock the Mountains Festival. We go on around 9:00.
Friday night.
And it's a Friday night, and then Quiet Riot. There's 2 stages, so we headline one stage. When we're done, Quiet Riot starts on the next stage.
Cool. And I'll leave all the links to their sites, and you can check out their shows in the description box below. So at the end of the video, you can check that out.
The other thing I was going to mention real fast, if you don't mind.
Yes.
We got to play with Chris Caffrey last year at a festival, and he used to play in Sabotage
and Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
He's actually in Trans-Siberian. He's like the main guitarist in Trans-Siberian Orchestra, but he's played with lots of other bands, and he's an amazing guitar player. So he sat in for 3 tunes with us at that show. But that's about it for now, until we open up for Maiden next year.
What's something that you like to do before you walk out on stage? Is there any kind of like pre-show ritual that you guys do to like get yourselves pumped up for the show, or you just kind of like, all right, guys, let's have a good show, just walk out on stage and start playing? How does that work?
Fist bumps.
It's a lot of Coke.
Cola.
We do the cheesy, like, we'll all put our hands in the center and like, oh, good, like, whatever. But like, we also like have a great show and get each other pumped up.
Yeah, I think the fact that we're all just excited to be there together is of a high to get us all juiced up. Right?
Well, there's no rituals, if that's what you're asking. I mean,
personally,
I need to make sure I'm hydrated and I'm warmed up. Yeah. That's like my main 2 things.
Yeah, and I stretch a lot before I go out.
Yeah, that always helps.
Yeah.
Yep.
Real quick, this question could go on forever, but so recently Iron Maiden got snubbed for the 2nd time from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. How do you guys feel about that?
Not surprised.
It's
stupid. It's ridiculous.
It's just, and here's the thing. In my humble opinion, I'm not offended by that. I'm not offended by who was nominated. It's just a thing, and I appreciate that all those musicians that are doing their work, I say something like that. So okay, so Missy Elliott's not rock and roll. Okay, whatever. She's still a musician, and that's a venue. And you know what? I guess I have a very, I don't want to say forgiving because that sounds like there's something to forgive. I just have a very different opinion about that because I know it's a very heated conversation. Oh, Maiden snubbed again. You know what? They're still as amazing as they are for every reason. And
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's not going to affect their career. They probably don't give a crap.
Yeah. If anything, it brings them more publicity because people are like, "Why isn't Maiden? Maiden? Why isn't Maiden?"
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah,
free
I
press.
They have to
think
die first.
at this point it's just become a status kind of thing, and it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's like you said, you still kicking ass
Yeah.
whether you're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or not. It's just
Right.
a lot of people are really pissed about it, but I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's just a thing.
Let's see real quick here. What would you say to up and coming tributes who are thinking of starting up a tribute band? Words of wisdom, is it worth it? What do you think?
If you love it, do it. For me, if you love
Yeah.
it, do it.
I mean, is it something you want to make a career out of, or you just want to do as a hobby?
Yeah.
That's a question too.
Yeah.
And be prepared if you want to be like successful, I guess, like to put in the work outside of just playing the music because we're like way more than just dudes playing instruments. Like it's like a whole production company. So like if you want to get make press kits and all this kind of stuff, like it's like a whole thing. So
Yeah, I'll agree. Tribute band is a lot of work. So make sure you really want to
absolutely.
you have to put the time into it, and you got to do it right or don't do it at all. You can't really half-ass it because for me, I don't like half-assing anything. If it's not balls to the wall, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
One last thing before we go. Is there anything you want to say to the Iron Maiden fans or your own fans watching right now?
Check us out.
Thank you.
Up the irons.
Book us.
Yeah, well,
Book us.
Talk to me. Email me for all your booking needs.
Yeah, as I said earlier, all the links will be down in the description box. Thank you guys so much, Eyes of the Nile, for joining me on the premiere episode of That Tribute Band Show. We hope you enjoyed it, and subscribe, like, share with your friends, do all that good stuff, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
thank you.